This new Starbucks drink is horrible. Can't believe I spent $8 on it. Okay, then throw it away. Nah, I spent $8. I have to get my money's worth. That's actually known as the sunk cost fallacy. What's that? It's when you let unrecoverable costs influence your current decision. The $8 is gone whether you drink it or not. Another example is when you're waiting in line for something for a really long time and you want to leave, but you think to yourself, I've waited here for so long, so I might as well stay. Would be a sunk cost fallacy. The time you spent in line is gone no matter what. Wow, I always do that. I'm even only staying at my job because I've had it for 10 years. Yeah, this applies to jobs, investments, relationships, friendships, and more. It's okay to walk away from anything or anyone that may not be serving your best interests or meeting your needs anymore. Your investment is gone. Don't let the past blind you.
What's up, wonderful human? My name is Blessing Wash and I welcome you to Tribe Haven. So, quick question. Do you know what sunk cost fallacy is? Because I, for one, didn't know what it was until recently when I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so I decided to go online and search on the search engines what in the world was wrong with me. And then I saw the term sunk cost fallacy. So I quickly read through what the articles had to say and what the videos had to say as well. But what I was saying concerning sunk cost fallacy for some reasons wasn't, or is it for some reason, it wasn't tallying up with what was disturbing me. So where's the mix-up coming from? Is it me? Am I the one not explaining my symptoms well, or is it the search engine that's not just getting it? Well, I didn't jump into conclusions. I decided to sit down and really look deep into what was available on this new term that I've come across, sunk cost fallacy. And then upon close and closer examination, I realized that actually what was disturbing me at that point was another form of sunk cost fallacy. So what people were saying about sunk cost fallacy online was just one side of sunk cost fallacy, which is the obvious part, and I for one had suffered a form of that fallacy. But right now, that's not what's disturbing me. So I'm looking for this thing that's disturbing me, and I realized that it's the other part of sunk cost fallacy. It's the silent part actually, which makes it more dangerous. It's dangerous to our productivity. So I'm not being dramatic, okay? So when I went online, what the online space had to say about sunk cost fallacy is this. Of course, I'm going to use my own words. Put it in my own words so as to avoid plagiarism. Not that they're checking plagiarism videos, but hey, based on my own analysis, I realized that what people were saying online concerning sunk cost fallacy is that it is a situation whereby a person continues to put in effort, invest time and effort or resources into a team when they now know that they are not supposed to continue putting in that effort, but they do it just because of the previous effort and investments they have put into that thing. So to them, they feel like stepping out of it right now will automatically make the previous investment a waste. But hey, who told you that staying in it will not make it a waste? They somehow feel like staying in it will somehow lead to a good end. The end mustn't be a great end. It can just be a good end and they are okay. So when I went online, there were some videos too concerning sunk cost fallacy, and here are some of them.
So the simplest way to describe the sunk cost fallacy would be, I must continue to spend time on this thing because otherwise all the time that I've spent on this thing up until this point will have been in vain. Example, I'm already halfway through this book and although I hate it, I guess I better finish it. Perhaps it'll get better. Or, this relationship is making me miserable but we've been together for 10 years and I don't want all of that to have been a waste. Or, I went to uni for 4 years studying this thing and now I hate working in this field, but I guess I'll have to continue, otherwise everything that I've invested so far will have been for nothing. And sometimes sticking things out is worth it. Perhaps a reward is waiting, perhaps that book will be great at the end, but we must ask ourselves, how much more time am I willing to continue to put in order to find out?
In the 1950s, social psychologist Leon Festinger infiltrated a cult with some colleagues and took notes. The cult leader claimed that a great flood would drown the world on a certain day, but that the true believers would be saved on a flying saucer. The most committed members quit their jobs, gave away their possessions, and left their loved ones to prepare. When the predicted day arrived and the world did not end, how do you think these committed members reacted? They started preaching even more. This story is also a remarkable example of the power of the sunk cost fallacy. The people who had invested the most into the cult were the ones who became the most dedicated to it when it should have become clear that their investments weren't going to pay off. This got me wondering, how much of an effect does the sunk cost fallacy have on our belief systems? How often does it make us cling to beliefs longer than we rationally should?
So now coming to the other side of sunk cost fallacy, that was actually my problem. Let me explain it, because if you search online, I don't think you're gonna find it. There's almost nothing concerning that side of sunk cost fallacy. It's like people don't even know it exists. But hear me out. If I explain it, you'll know that it's actually a thing and it's dangerous. I'm being dramatic, but maybe am I really? Based on my personal experiences, I realized that sunk cost fallacy can also occur in a situation when a person is unable to put in the amount of effort they are supposed to put in just because of the effort they have put in the past. I don't know why, whenever I want to define sunk cost fallacy, I find myself saying it is a situation. Are we talking about situationships here? Okay, don't miss the point. Because you've put in so much effort into one task, you feel like you've already put in so much into this one task that you cannot, for the life of you, put in any more efforts. But somehow, because you need to finish it, you just manage through it and like you just manage three tasks to just complete it, not giving it your best. Why are you not giving it your best? Because you feel you've already given so much to it. Like, why on earth will this one task consume so much effort? And so you're not ready to give in more. You know you're suffering from sunk cost fallacy when you have the energy to do anything new except to complete this one task. I know there are so many things that can cause this situation, but sunk cost fallacy is definitely one of them. You have all the energy in the world to start anything new that you want, but for the life of you, you can't just complete this task that you've started. So you have the energy to start new projects, but at the same time, lack the energy to complete old ones. At this point, you are mentally holding on to past stress, past effort. And the thing about our brain is that it has a reputation of tricking us. It can trick us when we allow it to. And so when you're mentally holding on to past stress, your brain tricks you into really feeling stressed, whereas it is a fresh, brand new day. But all of a sudden, when you're faced with this old task, or even the mere thought of starting the task, you all of a sudden feel exhausted. That's your brain tricking you with this sunk cost fallacy. Okay, having explained this other side of sunk cost fallacy, let's try to define sunk cost fallacy in a way that it will cover the both sides. Let's not be one-sided. To me, I define sunk cost fallacy as a situation. Yeah, we're going back to the situationships. No, so sunk cost fallacy is a situation whereby a fallacy occurs as a result of sunk cost. That's not a definition. Okay, we can't define sunk cost fallacy without actually knowing what fallacy itself means. So what's fallacy? Yet again, I'll give you my own definition, but it's not far from the truth. Fallacy, the way I understand it, is coming into wrong conclusions and faulty assumptions or interpretations of a situation. So, when a wrong interpretation, conclusion, or decision is made as a result of past effort or past investment, the phenomenon at play can be termed sunk cost fallacy. So, the investment is the sunk cost. Sunk as in past tense of sink. So the investment is the sunk cost, whereas the faulty interpretation is the fallacy. So whenever a fallacy occurs as a result of a sunk cost, the phenomenon is sunk cost fallacy. Who defines this that way? Me, a teacher to a teacher. Okay. The other side of sunk cost fallacy, we know in the videos you've watched, there are examples like, okay, people, because they've spent so much time in a relationship and now they know that this relationship is not going anywhere, instead of them to step out of the relationship, they still stay in it, hoping that something, even if it's just little, something little can come out of it at the end of the day. And there's another example of people spending so much time in school to study a course and later they now realize that there's nothing in it for them. Instead of them to drop out of that profession, they stay in it. Just because if they step out, that means all the years they've spent in school is now a waste. Let me give a practical example. Let's say now in Nigeria, you went to school, you went to the university, you studied education, and right now we know that if education is not your calling, the best advice is for you to go to another profession, seriously. But let's say because you studied it, now you realize that it's not your calling, but you don't want to step out and study something like, let's say, nursing, because it's lucrative for obvious reasons, chaperone and the rest. You don't want to step into nursing because if you do that, that means all the years you've spent in university or the college of education you studied in, they are not wasted. And so you feel like remaining in this profession will somehow make the years you've spent in the school, in studying education, not a waste. And let me tell you this, the only reason why I feel comfortable using this particular and specific example is because I myself am a trained and professional teacher and I'm currently even studying masters in educational psychology. So there's no hate towards the teaching profession from here, okay? So it will be interesting for me to give a practical example of this side of the sunk cost fallacy without giving a practical example of the other side of sunk cost fallacy, which is actually the side that was disturbing me because I believe that I'm cured. Right now, I'm cured of it. Hallelujah. Amen. So a practical example of this other side of sunk cost fallacy, which is actually the silent one, is with content creation. A content creator on YouTube will have to first of all think of the video topic and then the sub themes or the points, main points under the topic, and then script the video. So we have the topic, the main points under the topic, then scripting of the video, and then familiarizing yourself with the script, and then finally owning your camera or your phone, whatever you're using to record, and then look for the good angles and the lighting and everything. Then finally record yourself and shoot, and then maybe some people are randomly walking about like how it just happened a while ago with me here. People just shouting and screaming with each other. I don't know why. And then you have to like pause and then go back to the points that you are making and just pray that you can be able to start from where you stopped. If not, like it's a whole thing and then you now complete it, right? And I'm like, oh, thank God you've completed the whole thing. No, you have a long way to go because you have to then edit the video, and the more noise and things you have to cut out, the more work for you. So after editing, after a stressful work of editing, you feel like, oh, the content is done. Let's share. No, you have to think of a suitable thumbnail. And oh goodness, at that point, you're like, no, this one thing cannot be consuming all my energy. I'm done. So instead of coming to that stage of creating the thumbnail as a fresh project with your fresh energy, you don't, because you're coming to it with all the stress, with all the efforts you've put in from point one to point seven. Is it seven? Is it 8? To point seven or 8 of the whole production process. So now you barely give efforts into making the thumbnail, and we know that thumbnail counts. And like you don't even have the energy to deal with that, to start thinking of what to write captions and which post and whatsoever to make thumbnail the best that it can be. Well, you need to do it because it's YouTube and that's how the thing goes here, right? But for the life of you, you can't just do the thumbnail. And this has happened to me. Like, I post videos, I upload them, and I don't even put a thumbnail because I'm suffering from some cost fallacy. Instead of coming to it as a fresh project, putting my best, and just giving in a mediocre effort and to just pass by. And sometimes I don't even put the effort. I'm like, I'll come back to it another day. I don't even have much subscribers, so nobody will even notice. Later, before my YouTube channel gets viral, I'm gonna put some thumbnail on it, so no big deal. But I believe on this video I'm gonna put a good and a befitting thumbnail to it, hopefully, and because I believe I'm cured from some cost fallacy. And I'm going to show you how to get cured from it. But let's not be faster than ourselves. So now that we know what sunk cost fallacy is, and we've given real life examples, practical examples of the both sides of sunk cost fallacy. But you know, in this video, my emphasis is on the silent side because that was what was disturbing me. And there's not much about it online, and so we're here to change that. Okay, that's why I'm making this video, so that things will be available online regarding that other side of sunk cost fallacy. That's the silent side, and as I say, it is the dangerous side. So quote me on that. So what are some of the disadvantages or negative things that can happen as a result of this type of sunk cost fallacy? Let's go through them. Number one, you start well but end poorly. You know, starting well gives us an advantage towards ending well. When you start well, you have an advantage. You are, what's the word? You have an edge towards ending well. But in this case, you have nothing to show for the brilliant startup you had, and you're left with a mediocre result. So you start off well, but nothing to show for it. The next disadvantage or bad thing that can happen as a result of this is that you become a starter but never a finisher, and that can be an insult, even a reproach sometimes. Another thing that can happen as a result of this sunk cost fallacy is that you give up on starting anything big or groundbreaking in general because you have so much evidence of multiple or even uncountable times that you've started something but never finished, and so you now feel like, what's the point of starting in the first place since I'm like destined never to finish it? So person now gets into a point where they don't even start up anything groundbreaking ever again because of this sunk cost fallacy. One of the disadvantages of sunk cost fallacy is that you become and therefore get treated by others as an unreliable person. And that is not a pleasant experience at all. What else can happen as a result of sunk cost fallacy? You know, as I said, sunk cost fallacy is slippery, it's quiet, and so like a stubborn child in the class. They sit behind, they instigate the rest to cause commotion. But you as a teacher, you're trying to bring order into your class, and then not knowing that these people causing the commotion, they are just the actors. The main culprit is behind, but you can hardly see him because or see her because that child is at the end of the class. It's behind the curtains. If you have a curtain in your class, that's by the way. So unless you grab that instigator that's hiding behind the class, you will put in so much effort without getting any results. The class will still be in commotion because it is just the actors that are in front of you. The main instigator, the root cause of the commotion, is behind, still instigating. And so they're not going to stop. The actors are never going to stop. That stubborn instigator behind the class is sunk cost fallacy. It is quiet. You'll not notice it. And so you just be wondering what's wrong with you, like I was. You'll try this. Is this going to solve the problem? No, because you're yet to really diagnose the problem. Why? Because the problem is not visible. But thank goodness, now it's visible. Now we've called it by its name. And so we've dragged that student that's hiding behind the curtains right in front of the class. And guess what? Now all their confidence is gone and they are melting away, looking so pitiful like a reasonable human being. But you're not. And so you need to deal with them. And how can you deal with this stubborn child called sunk cost fallacy? Here are some ways. Number one, have a mindset shift. So shift your mindset from I've already put in my best, I've already put in too much into this, to a mindset that says, I can put in my best. I can still put in my best into this. It's not as easy as it sounds, but you can first of all start with being grateful for the fact that you are able to put in as much energy as you are able to. And also be grateful for the fact that another opportunity has presented itself for you to put in your best. It's not too late, because it can be too late for you to do anything about it, but it is obviously not. That's why you can still do something about it, which is a reason to be grateful. And that can cause a mindset shift. With that, you can be able to see each day as a new and a fresh opportunity to put in your best into achieving whatever you want in life. So, whenever you feel exhausted, frustrated, or burnout from a task, most times the best thing for you to do is to leave it for a while and then come back to it the next day. Okay, see, that's a fresh start. That's the point. The second thing you can do is learn from past experiences. So, putting in so much effort into accomplishing a thing, but yet not being able to accomplish it can be a sign that there's maybe something wrong in the way you're putting in the effort. So instead of allowing this to cripple you from putting in your best, learn from it. Why not? You can actually learn from it and then see, okay, how am I doing it wrong? And then avoid doing it that way so as to get the desired result this time around. And you will now know how to put in as much effort as you can today without necessarily being stressed, frustrated, or burnout. The next point is actually similar to this, which is be creative in handling old projects. Just because it is an old project doesn't mean you have to go about it the same old way. Switch things up a bit, because if you have a new way of approaching an old task, it has a way of sparking up your passion towards accomplishing that thing, and that's what you need in order for you to be motivated to put in as much effort as needed or as you can towards accomplishing that project. The next point I'm going to give you now, this one I'm begging. On this one, I'm begging, please stop mentally holding on to past stress. Because I know the project must have stressed you in the past, but it is here to stress you today. So, why are you already stressed? It is here to stress you because you have not even started. You're just thinking of starting. So why are you stressed? And just because it stressed to you yesterday does not mean that it must necessarily stress you today, especially when you do things differently and in a creative way. You will not get stressed. So stop holding on to that stress of the past, okay? Just let it go, because the funny thing is that our brain is known for one reputation of it being able to trick us when we allow it to. So even though you're not physically tired, the brain has a way of tricking us into feeling tired when we are mentally holding on to past stress. So that mental stress now translates into like real physical stress, whereas it is not there. If you are to start something different, you feel energized, you realize that you are not stressed. But once it comes back to this thing, this old thing, the stress will not come back. It's a mental thing. So please let go of the mental stress. It is a new day. Why are you holding on to the stress of yesterday when it's already today? Loosen up a bit. The next point I have to give to you today is apply the principles of dealing with burnout. Because I don't know about you, but to me, not being able to put in my best, not being able to put in effort into doing something because of past stress and long years stress is screaming burnout to me. Don't you think? It may not be the whole definition of burnout, but at least it's a form of burnout. So you will deal with this the way you normally deal with burnout. So how do you deal with burnout? Let me give you tips inside tips. I'm not just giving you tips to deal with sunk cost fallacy. I'm also giving you tips to deal with burnout. So let's go. This video is loaded. If you're yet subscribe, subscribe if you're learning something already, and if you're enjoying it, like it so that others can be able to get to see this video and learn something as well. So how will you deal with burnout? First of all, you have to create clear working hours. You cannot be working the whole day. You'll get stressed, you'll get burnout. So create a specific working time by including time for rest, time for breaks. You can't be working the whole day. The next is help yourself by developing a realistic to-do list. You cannot solve the entire world's problem in a day. You cannot, even if you try. So please help yourself by not setting yourself up for failure and frustration. So just make the to-do list realistic, okay? The next point in dealing with burnout is our all-time favorite, self-care. Okay, so you can deal with burnout by prioritizing self-care. How do you prioritize self-care? You prioritize self-care in this case by engaging in leisure activities and activities that promote emotional well-being and good mental health. And then lastly, delegate if you can. I know you want to do it on your own, but please, you can delegate as well. You mustn't do the whole thing. You can do it too, but it's not necessary. If there's a possibility of you delegating someone to do it, please delegate the person, okay? It will help you to save you from burnout and possibly what we're talking about, which is sunk cost fallacy, the other side. That is dangerous. And then this brings me to my last point, which is seek God's help. I'm telling you, due to sunk cost fallacy, I find myself in situations where I have the energy to do every other thing in the world except this one thing that I need to finish. And so I end up doing the things I don't want to do, and the things I want to do, I don't find myself doing them. This statement is very familiar. Apostle Paul said almost exact things. Just to be on the safer side, let me not say the exact things, but almost exact things. And obviously, God helped him overcome it because he ended up doing all these wonderful things he did, which includes being the author of the highest number of books in the New Testament. This proves that you, in partnership with God, you can achieve anything. You can do all things. And so don't sleep on that, because seriously, we need to start doing the things we want to do and stop doing the things we don't want to do. And that has brought us to the end of today's conversation. I hope you've learned something from it. And if you have, why not share it with someone so that they can also benefit from this, and like the video as well. And if you're yet subscribed, subscribe. But wait a minute. In conclusion, now that you know about sunk cost fallacy and the silent part of sunk cost fallacy that the internet is not talking about, I hope that the next time you find yourself unmotivated to be productive, you will quickly run a diagnostic test on yourself to see if this sunk cost fallacy that is the reason behind it. Because when you're rightfully diagnosed, then you can be rightfully treated. So until next time, why only succeed when you can thrive? Bye.